I don't even want to be alive anymore.
Okay,
Sponsored by podcast.
This is a podcast. Finally, we've
been saying it for a long time. We have microphones. We have a camera.
Yeah, just
That's
about.
all you require these days.
That is all you require these days.
And we think we have opinions,
As TikTok comments would suggest, it's too easy.
Yeah, it might be too easy.
Microphones should cost more.
They fucking shouldn't. They're
So
expensive.
I know, right? Tell me about it.
How much were these? Because this one's shit. What is it? Oh, it's an AKG to be fair.
Yeah, this one's also shit though. They're pretty much the same mic. These are like 40
Black
quid mics.
SM58.
Yeah, exactly. Right, yeah, this is a podcast, man. We are strangers.
I mean,
For
we're not.
anyone.
We're cousins.
Well, we are cousins technically, but for branding purposes,
Yeah. For branding purposes, we're boyfriends.
yeah,
but-
yeah, we're gay strangers.
Yeah, gay cousins
Gay
who are in a
cousins.
band who have a podcast. So
yeah.
explain that to your mum. You know?
Explain that to our mums.
Oh,
So my name is Liam McGrath,
my name's Sean Enfuego Goddard.
and that is how we shall be referred
Yeah,
to
I'm running with that.
for the rest of the pod.
Yeah, for the
um,
rest of my life.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the Starving Artists podcast presented by strangers.
Yeah. Would
We've
you
been
like to
to-
explain the name? Because we're not painters.
Yeah, we're
And
not
that's what you think of when you think artist.
artists, right? Yeah. We're musical artists.
/ content creators. Love that.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
This is we're already starting.
Thing is,
you know what I mean?
we are, unfortunately, but you have to be now.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't be an artist in any realm of the arts without also, like, having an Instagram and a TikTok and
Yeah.
making it more about that than the actual thing that you're trying to
You're trying to
It's-
promote.
it's a
Yeah,
pain,
yeah.
it's a
Well, I mean,
nightmare.
that leads us, I guess, to like, why are we doing a podcast?
Because we're fucking hungry.
Because we're hungry, right?
For success and food.
I was talking to Abby about you the other day,
Oh,
and
yeah.
she was really concerned.
Oh, God.
She was like, does he want a big shop? Should I help him with a big shop? I was like, I think he'll manage.
Yeah,
But, like,
I'll survive.
We are
Maybe.
starting this podcast at a time in life where, like, we're generally pretty on our arse.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
this is probably the poorest I've ever been in my
Same.
life.
Yeah.
And
that's saying something
yeah,
for you.
and that's saying something for me because I'm poor as shit. Yeah.
And it's also the poorest I've been, although I am probably slightly less poor than you. But
Yeah, I've got an excuse
Yeah,
though. I'm
yeah,
in
you've
uni,
got-
so I can.
yeah, right, yeah. Well, I've got an excuse. I'm a starving artist, which is essentially a cool way to say I'm poor. So that's why we named it the Starving Artist Podcast.
Yeah.
It was a very impromptu thing. It was your idea.
Yeah,
Full
I
props
wanted
you.
to call it the Failed Musicians Podcast, but it
bit on the
feels
nose, isn't it?
it feels a bit too much like we're saying, oh, look how horrible our lives are when they're
Yeah.
not that bad. I ate yesterday.
Yeah, because also we haven't failed.
No, we've not succeeded
We're
yet
just
either.
not succeeded yet. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
We're not currently succeeding. We succeeded mildly in the past and have since
That's so
fallen from
depressing.
grace.
We're not currently succeeding.
Well,
we're on our way, maybe.
this
we're
is
doing
like-
better than we were, but we were doing fucking terribly, so.
yeah. But we're doing better than we were, but not as good as we were before that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, that's so true. Like, because Predator did fucking really well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like, 66,000 listens, I think it's on now. And then our most recent single, which came out less than a month ago, is on less than 1,000.
Yeah.
Less than 500.
Which is like, obviously, it's still early days.
Yeah.
And I guess, so we'll explain currently in our position in life. We've been in this band for
Like fucking 5 years.
But
more
no,
than that. Like 7
7
nearly
years?
10.
7
It's
years.
been Strangers for about.
It's been called Strangers since 2017.
Yeah.
So that's 7 years.
And we started in
The
what
end
year?
of 2015. And over that time, it's been like, it started as me and Sean in a room, and it's now me and Sean in a room. But over that time, there's been like
We were a
6
5-piece, then
different
we were a
people.
4-piece, then we were a 3-piece, then we were a different 3-piece.
Yeah.
At one point, during the being a 3-piece, we ended up a 4-piece again and then lost
Yeah.
another member, and now it's just the two of us. And we're like no better than when we started.
I do think, man. Like, obviously this is the first episode, right? So like, there's a lot that we'll talk about over the episodes.
Yeah,
but like
exposition.
Every there's so many things that you've said in the past 5 minutes where like I'm like, that's a whole episode right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, are we better than we used to be? Are we worse than we used to be? You know what I mean? That's a whole conceptual.
Artistically, I'd say that we're a lot better.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, we're well further than when we started.
Well, what I always think about, or what I've been thinking about a lot recently, is when we put out the mixtape in 2019
To resounding success.
to resounding success. That was the before we were doing well the first time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're doing as well as we were before we did well for a couple of months.
Yeah, but not as
3
not
years
as,
ago.
not as
4
badly
years.
as we were doing 6 months ago.
Yeah. That's crazy. We peaked like 4 years ago.
Yeah. Predator was 2021.
Was it? I thought it was
Yeah.
2020.
No, 2021.
Oh, crazy.
Back end of 21 as well.
Yeah,
So we can still.
everything since 2020 is a blur. I know that that's not a particularly unique take.
No. But so
It's true.
anyway, what I was going to say was when we put out that, it was a mixtape. It was like 7 or 8 songs or something.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot about that artistically that was maybe more thought out and better than things that we've done
Yeah,
now. But the
yeah.
songs weren't as good as the songs that we
That's
have
true.
now. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I feel like the stuff we're doing now is like we approach it with more of a commercial focus. It feels like.
Yeah, and to some degree, you know, you need to play the game.
Yeah.
But there is the question of like,
I also prefer to listen to the new stuff that we do compared to the older stuff.
yeah, so do
but
I.
the stuff that we were doing was like so much more conceptual. Artistically speaking, it was more artistic. But then what is more artistic? We're getting into it now.
Yeah,
Like,
Christ.
What does that mean? Because all art is just creating. Is
Because-
it not?
Yeah, it is. I've also been thinking about this recently because it's like the thing of there's the form, right? Like the format that you do things in, which is for us songs,
Yeah.
because we are again not visual artists, musical artists.
Yeah.
But then there's like the stuff that surrounds that. So you can talk about how good a song is as a song, but then you can talk about like the depths of production, the fucking lyrics, the album it's in, the concept. So,
Yeah, like I'd rather listen to "Send It Up" by Kanye than Jolene, but Jolene is far more
a better song,
artistic.
like a song.
Yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So,
But does it got that fucking? I can't even do an impression of it.
the
Wow, you know what I mean? All that shit. Wow.
yeah, no, that, yeah. Gesaffelstein, that you know, that did that.
Yeah, Gesaffelstein's the man.
Gesaffelstein is the G. But so anyway, the things we've done in the past, I think, like I'll listen to it and go, oh, these aren't as good as songs. But it's almost like there was something there that isn't there now. Like sometimes there's a value in like the naivety of not quite knowing what you're doing. You know what I mean? I think it's easy, and I'm consciously trying to fight against this. It's quite easy to go, oh, I get it now, and then just like fall into a format. You know what I mean? Like a formula. And I think like artistically, that's something you've always got to fight against.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? Oh, you develop as like an artist. Because say when we first started, we brought out Rosanna when we were the Revolvers.
Right. Yeah.
I still find that song catchier than anything we've written since. I can remember
Really?
how that song goes. Like, not playing it, I can't remember any of that
Yeah.
most of the time.
Can't remember how to play the current songs.
Yeah,
half the time.
no, it's it's a problem. But
Yeah.
to be fair, I probably have a brain disease.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rosanna, I can remember how that went really well. But then I don't know if it's just because it was a time in my life where it was one of the first songs we did together. So maybe it's because it's
Right,
got a
yeah,
special
yeah.
place, or maybe it's because we did it for so long, or maybe we just, I don't know. Part of me thinks like it was more memorable because we were simpler songwriters, and sometimes
Right,
simplicity
yeah.
is the key. Whereas because we've learned so much since, we throw the kitchen sink at a lot of stuff,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
we spoke about. Like we said, we want to start doing a bit less of that.
Yeah, definitely production wise. Or
But you've got 10 months to wait until you fucking hear any of that.
I know,
so
right, yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of songs left to put
Yeah,
out.
so okay,
first.
so that's back to like the timeline. Where we're at currently is in a part of our career where we are releasing a new song every month
On the first of every month.
on the first of every month,
Stranger's Day.
baby. So why
Bitch.
did we decide to do that?
We wanted to do an album. we wrote an album and we recorded an album and then we sent an album out to labels and then heard nothing and then thought, well, we might as well release it. Half. Plus, I don't know, I think the mistake we made last time, because we had a song that was successful and then we didn't follow up on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm half thinking, if one of these does well enough,
we've
then
got the
that sets us in
material
good
already.
stead to keep going, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing with art as well, but when it's commercial art, you've got to hold stuff back sometimes.
Yeah.
You've got to like play the strategy of it all, which is really annoying because I want to be able to just put out songs and have people hear them, but like
Right, exactly.
they won't hear them if you don't strategize it properly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think it's a weird position we're in now because the songs that we are putting out have been around for a while and we're putting them out in a specific order so as to like build to the ones that we think have the most commercial potential.
Yeah.
But that inherently means that what you're saying is, oh, these ones are worse than the later ones, so we're going to put these worse ones out first.
Yeah, which then is tricky because you want to be building towards the better ones, but then you're building with foundations that aren't as strong almost.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm glad we're putting out one of my favourites as the next one, to be fair.
Yeah, so the next song, which will probably already be out by the time this pod comes out, currently we're like 2 weeks out from it coming out, maybe. The next song is Give It Up, 1st of September. I don't know how I feel about it.
Really? I thought you liked this one.
I do. I flip-flop on it a lot. Up until, the longest time, it was probably my least favourite of the bunch.
Yeah, which I never understood.
But I think maybe because everybody else likes it, like everyone that I've shown it to likes it and you really like it and stuff. And there's a lot about it that I do like. I think it's grown on me a little bit. But now that I'm actually in the run-up to releasing it, again, it's that thing of like, I'm just thinking, but this isn't like representative of our best work to me. You know what I mean?
Out of what we've got, it's up there though. It's one of our best three, I'd say.
Yeah, and that's not it's not an opinion I've ever really subscribed to. I think I think with Give It Up, I've been trying to write a song like that for ages, and this is the best version of it. You know what I mean? It's almost like you and I.
So like in your head, there's a better version of this song that can exist, and that's why you don't like it.
No, this is what I'm saying. This is what's working to its favour. That I feel like I've been trying to get there for a while. To do this kind of like, I don't know, it's like almost like mildly tropical in its like chord progression, but it's still like a bit dark and a bit moody and whatever, but it's got that like danceability to it. That's what I was trying to do on You and I, which was like 2019. Which is wild, right? Just set another aside. Wild to think about the frequency of which we used to put stuff out, right? And I know, like, it's mad saying that
we'd
now.
release one song like every year and think like this is gonna work.
No. I was thinking like the opposite of that, right? Obviously now we're releasing more than we ever have done, but like back in the day, like when we first started out, right? We did a single. Let's go from like Hibernate. We did a single. Then we waited like 2 months and did another single. Then we waited like 3 months and put out an entire mixtape. Then after the mixtape came out, by the end of that summer, You and I and Hollows were ready to go out. So they went out in like the September. Then Jaded came out like 5 or 6 months later.
Thinking about it, actually.
Then like Lonely Animals came out 6 months later. We were dropping songs like every 6 months.
True. We were dropping it as soon as it was done, though. Whereas this time we've held stuff back, so it's taken longer, but it's more of a thought-out approach.
Well, you know what? It's weird thinking about how it's taken longer because I've always thought, it's always taken us forever to.
That shit.
I always thought, sponsored by 7-Up, by the way.
Sponsored by 6-Up.
I always thought
the taste of the last generation.
No, don't put that in. I always thought it used to take us ages to make songs, but looking back on it, it really didn't. You know what I mean? Compared to now, I don't think it did because we were just working on it more. We were working on it like 3 times a week.
Yeah.
We spent 9 hours together a week working on tunes.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it was ready, it'd go out with a music video. Yeah. You know what I mean? A self-made music video sometimes as well.
Yeah.
You know. and we were playing gigs as well.
Yeah, with other songs on them that we hadn't recorded yet.
Yeah,
We were writing constantly.
This is why being older sucks, because especially I think if you're trying to make like your artistic goals work, life is still moving on while you're doing that, and there's certain things that you have to do, like university or jobs or like other career opportunities that might end up being more fruitful.
And just life. It's like sometimes you just have to make time for people that when you're younger you don't. Or maybe, maybe I should have been, but wasn't that bothered about it because I was young enough that I've got enough of my life in front of me that I can like focus on myself more.
But I think especially like now you don't live with family. It's like, I should probably go and see my mum every now and again.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like I should probably see my mum, or like today, like I'm going home slightly early so that I can get food shopping and so that I can let my girlfriend in because we've got one key. You know?
Yeah. You really need to get another key cut if you're going to be staying there.
We're working on it. I need more money.
So we are releasing a song every month, which, actually, I said to Jacko, because part of me thinking about the song every month thing was, I think maybe I'd been watching something about Brockhampton and it got me feeling the way I felt before we made the mixtape, where I was like, they're just doing it, you know what I mean?
Well, saturation, those three albums, exactly. It was, we're going to saturate the market with as much of our music as we can to the point where it's unavoidable because we've got a new music video out every other week, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what I think
I'm sure if we had about 13 people, we'd do the same.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
If we had a videographer on speed dial, then we would. I mean, we have to, but he'll probably start charging now.
Yeah. Which, by the way, is fine. Like pay your artist friends if you can. You know what I mean?
Charge for your shit, but if you can get away with getting it for free, do it.
Support the arts.
Yeah.
I remember what it was. Was. I remember watching the Saturation documentary about how they made the Saturation trilogy in like 2018. And that's what made me be like, oh, like we can just do this ourselves. You know what I mean? Like we can record this ourselves. We can put this out ourselves.
But look, and that's why we did. Chance the Rapper, stuff, his most successful part of his career was when he was doing it on his own. As soon as he got a label and a bit of backing behind him, he disappeared off the face of the earth. You know what I mean? So besides, we started doing all this album with the intent of getting a label, and we still do want a label. So if you work for a label, do it. But like, you know what I mean? Get on us. We probably will. But just as we finished it and started getting things ready to send off, I don't know if you want to talk about this on the pod, but all that P. Diddy stuff started happening, and all, and all this stuff. All this stuff about like the dodgy shit that goes on in labels, like you'll get brought in as a young artist, and then next minute you're underneath a table with Odell Beckham. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want that. I'd rather just do it myself if I can. Yeah. That being said, if you're not working for one of these P Diddy labels and you are Matty Healy, you know what I mean.
If you are Matty Healy,
get on us. You'll love us, honestly. I heard you on Come Town. I didn't even think it was that bad.
Yeah, no.
I even still call it Come Town. Tag him in that. Fuck it. We're having a pot. We're having a go.
Yeah, which brings us to another...
And we're from Cheshire.
Yeah, exactly.
So you'll love us.
Yeah.
I've been to the MEM before. It was all right, you know what I mean?
Not from your part of Cheshire, but still, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been up them ends, I think. Wilmslow, is it?
Yeah,
Where's
I think
that
so,
near?
yeah. It's like
Bournemouth Beach, is it? Yeah.
Macclesfield. No. Not even
big
close.
house, isn't it?
Not even... Oh, yeah, right.
Macclesfield. What have they got in Macclesfield? A footy team.
They've got the worst McDonald's ever.
Really?
In Macclesfield.
Is that voted for?
No, but I went once.
Oh.
and it was because there's like nice walks and that like around Macclesfield Forest and shit. And we went on the way back, we stopped at the Mackies. It was fucking chocker, right? The service was shite. And I got given what I assume was a staff member's drink that had just been left on the side. Because I ordered a Fanta and I got it and it wasn't fully full and it felt warm and it tasted horrible. So
I've got a mate who went KFC for an order. He got it on delivery. You know him. I won't mention his name on the pod. But he does drive a Seat Cupra.
Oh, right.
And can we even put that in? Yeah.
He's not going to listen to the pod.
No, fair. Yeah, and he got this order through, and the drink came, and it was, you know, when they clean out the nozzles on the machines,
Right.
they put them in a cup full of bleach.
He
He got sent a cup full of bleach full of all this, and he took a photo of it, and I'm pretty sure he put it on Twitter, and he was like, fucking seen the state of this. And he put in a complaint, and they got on him being like, if you take down that post, we'll send you heavy KFC. If you don't tell no one it happened. So he did that. He's had his KFC. He's graduated from uni. This was like first year of uni, so this is time ago. So yeah, KFC did that. I'm whistleblowing.
Right, yeah.
I'll blow that whistle. I'm going to get Boeing 747.
Do you still, I mean, this might be a stupid question. Do you still, like, indulge in that kind of food?
Not much, really. I had.
Because I know you're on your healthy grind lately.
Yeah, I had a takeaway last night, but it's the first one I've had in ages.
Right.
Because Heather finished work at like 10, and I just hadn't been to the shops. I think it was busy. I think I went out with some mates for a bit, and I don't know, I was doing other things. So it got to like when she got back, it was at a time where there was no available, really, you know what I mean? It was like 11 by the time we were like chilling and thinking, yeah, we should probably eat. So we got a little takeaway. But other than that, it's been extremely healthy, and I've not even been eating carbs or nothing.
You know what's a shame about the fact that we're no longer going to be living together?
Yeah.
Which
Well, we were going to live together, but we can't because we're starving artists.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sean's made some poor financial decisions over the summer, and it's led to us not being able to live together. Although it does mean that I can now do savings and stuff, you know what I mean? Like, do what I actually probably should have done in the first place. Because, like, if we had moved in, I feel like we'd have both been scraping it.
Lad would have been so hungry.
Yeah.
Like, not even hungry, like, haha, a bit hungry, haha, let's make it a joke about the arts.
Yeah,
like,
not podcast hungry.
Not podcast hungry, like Africa hungry.
That's heavy.
They are, though.
So we were going to move in together. We were going to move to Liverpool. And you said to me the other week, you were like, oh, I can't wait to move in together. You're going to see how busy I am all the time.
Yeah.
I'll never know. I'll never know. I'll just
Yeah.
have to take your word for it.
Yeah.
Which I don't believe.
Lad, these bags under my eyes tell a different story.
Yeah, no, true. Especially, like, yeah. Well, I think that's the starvation.
Yeah, it's a lot of things.
That's also going to be, I guess, a common theme of this pod is, like, obviously we are going to, the part of the idea is to, like, document where we're at and, like, talk about the sort of the campaign and
experience of being like an artist at a low level.
Yeah,
in any realm of the arts. You could be a painter, or you could be, you know, into filmmaking and TV or music or whatever. It's all half the same because it's creative industries, and those industries are not full of money. That's for sure.
Yeah, especially at this level. So that is the I guess the theme. Yeah. But also, like, it's very probable that we will just divulge off into bullshit tangents, and also it's very probable that we're just gonna chat shit about, like, the industry and stuff.
We meet up once a week, and these podcasts happen at the start of that. So a lot of it's gonna be us just talking about where we've been up to for the past week. But I suppose at the least it's a realistic representation of what it is to be an artist at this level.
Yeah.
You spend a bit of time doing your art, and then the rest of the time doing your cleaning job.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I did think the other day, I was kind of like, I kind of don't want this to come across as, like, the Jaded Artists podcast.
Yeah.
But, like, we are a little bit, you know what I mean?
I'm
like,
incredibly
a
jaded.
little bit. And
I'm unhappy. I'm dejected.
I was speaking to so one of the lads who's just started playing in this covers band that I've just started playing in, that I'm doing the cruise ship stuff with, is I think he's maybe like 2 years younger than us, but he's in an indie band in Liverpool, like a similar position to us. And I was talking to him just about, like, the situation that we're both in, and he's very jaded. Like, you think we're jaded, he's very jaded, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying this because he's said that he's sort of, like, over it. You know what I mean? Like, but. And, you know, maybe he'd be an ideal person to get on the pod at some point. But
for a bit of context, like, you think we're unhappy?
Yeah, right, yeah. But I was kind of saying to him, like, yeah, obviously that we're disillusioned with the industry, right? Mm-hmm. But we're still trying to have a career in that industry. So to some degree, you have to play the game, because he was saying, like they just put a new tune out and it's a decent song or whatever, and he was just saying, like, you know, I just fed up with, like, they're trying to promote it and emailing this person and trying to make this video for that. And like, so I was just like, I've posted a couple of clips of it on Instagram and stuff, but I can't really, I'm just not about doing all the rest of it. And I'm like, that's fine. Like, if that's what you want to do, but also if you're actually trying to like make it in the industry, you kind of do have to do all of the other shit.
Yeah, you have to learn to enjoy the process as well to an extent. I know that we don't like doing all the content stuff, but at the same time, like we have a fun day when we do it. Like we make it enjoyable for ourselves.
I think that's why we're doing this, because this is something that
because we were producing content and we were feeling like, I don't even want to see this come up on my feed because it doesn't feel authentic enough. So it's like, well, then let's find a way to make the content work for us, because otherwise, like, why are you doing it? Like, because if you're putting this image out there that's not the image that you want to have for yourself, but you're doing it just to play the game, like, reputation is everything, isn't it? Your reputation arrives before you do. If people think that that's what you're going to be, then they're going to be... There's going to be a dissonance when you show up and you're not that, so you just got to be it all the time, and then if no one latches onto it, unlucky, you're not that likable. Whereas if they do, then, you know, it's like, congratulations.
Start as you mean to go on, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly.
We're trying to build...
Like, imagine if you were Ice Spice and you didn't like shaking ass, and then you made that your brand, how devastating that would be to live that life. Whereas if you love shaking ass, be Ice Spice.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which is why I'm auditioning for the part of Ice Spice.
Exactly. And that's why this microphone is like that.
No, but like it's true, isn't it? Because if you think about it, right, our art is an extension of us as people, right? Because it's not only like literally stories about things that have gone on in our lives, like lyrically, but it's also like an extension of our taste. Like, we make things that we like
out
to
of
hear.
Your brain.
Right,
it's
exactly.
Like we'll be working on something and then we'll hear something in our heads that's not actually on the song, and then we'll put it in the song, and then that's like, you know, if you take lyrics, because I feel like people view the artistic side of music as just the lyrics bit. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, what's the story about?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I've listened to songs before that don't have lyrics, but you can still tell what the story kind of is, and you can tell what they're trying to portray, because it's all part of the creative process, isn't it? It's like the sound of each drum hit is part of the process. It's like, oh, well, I want that snare to be drier. That's, you've made
that's
decision,
that's
you know
based
what I mean?
off your personality and your taste in art, right?
Exactly. Like a Van Gogh painting isn't just the picture, it's every brush stroke that happened to make the picture.
Yeah.
So stick that on your clips and
it was all
smoke
and it was all it's all intentional, right?
100%.
So, you know, so like everything that we do is intentional. It's not like we just go, oh, that'll do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, we're trying
it's
to
not
make
like
it good.
We're out here just making mistake after mistake and happening upon a song. Like, sometimes things will happen by mistake, but then you'll go, oh, that's good. How do we use that? And then again comes all of the conscious decisions to do that.
So then when that comes to this stuff, like the promotional aspect of trying to, because it's difficult, isn't it? Because at some point, right, when you're trying to sell art, it's still art, but it's also wrapped in a product, right? And that product has to be marketed to some degree. And when you're marketing that in a way through social media where you're kind of using yourself as the interface, and you're trying to get people to like you and like your other, like, I hate the word content, I really do, but like the other things that you're making, what you're putting out there has to still be as much of a representation of you as the music is, because otherwise there's a dissonance there, because I think especially in our music and in our personalities, we're sort of very like straightforward. What you see and what you hear is how we are, right? And like we wear our influences on our sleeve, and we're not afraid to talk about stuff in our songs that are like real to us and stuff like that. So if you're then like getting on TikTok and being like, hi guys, you know what I mean? It's a bit like, this guy seems far chirpier than the one who's talking about all those things that are really personal to him in the song, right? You know what I mean? And if that's becoming, because I guess you could even to look at it from a marketing point of view, it's branding, right? it's like the sound of this does not match the image of this, right? And therefore your branding's off because people are going to see the image, think that they're getting something else, and that's not going to work, right? Because that's not actually an accurate representation of who we are.
Yeah, I think the content thing, like, you saying that you hate the word content and then everything that you said there, it's sort of like viewing it as just content takes a lot of the creative element out of it, I think, because I don't know, the term feels a little bit like flippant with it all. You're making videos if you're posting stuff, like we're making a podcast, we're making video format art, if you can call a podcast that, you know what I mean? Whereas like when you call it content, it's like there's a difference between a box of stuff that you've got out of your house and a treasured item that you love.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or like something that you've made. Like I could have a box of stuff from my mum's house, and that the contents of that is just content. It's just loads of stuff, and it could be absolutely anything, and it half doesn't matter because there's so many things in there. And the way that people treat content, it's like that. It's just churn out as much as you can. It's not the content.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I mean?
Well,
it's not the content of the thing, it's the amount of content.
Right, yeah, well, I was going to say, like, that's almost part of the difference between art and content, right? Because even things that you might not look at and think are art, they're still an artistic expression. Like, let's say someone makes a fucking video essay on YouTube about something that they're really passionate about, and they put it together in a certain ways, and there's certain visual components to it. Like, to some degree, it's an expression of information more than like an expression of like artistic vision.
Although
but
some of these video essays, the editing that goes into them, I'd call that
exactly
it's
right.
Really creative.
But then on the flip side, especially now that it's become more of a popular thing, there's people that's like, I want to be a content creator. Okay, well, what are you passionate about? What do you want to make content about? I want to be a content creator, and therefore the content is just anything. It's fucking lists. It's top fives. It's crazy challenges. It's Mr. Beast. You know what I mean? It's like Mr. Beast doesn't have a niche. Mr. Beast's niche is being Mr. Beast. It's like, what's the biggest, craziest challenge? What to throw the money at the thing and get the people to do it and all this shit. Like, it's not. There's a difference there. He's doing that because he wants to be a YouTuber, right? He doesn't have anything to say or express.
I'd say the Mr. Beast, like,
not that you need to have anything to say or express.
I think the concepts for his videos are the creative element for him, like, and the sort of the planning of that, like, project management to an extent is an art.
Brian Eno's got this thing where he talks about art is anything that you don't have to do. So, like, you have to wear clothes, but you don't have to like style yourself a certain way or whatever. And he was giving some sort of lecture, and he had a load of screwdrivers, and some of them were just like the metal of the screwdriver with the bit on the end. But then he was like, well, why has this one got this shape handle? Why is it this colour? Why is it this design? You know what I mean? It's anything beyond pure function can be art.
It can be. I'm not sure if it would define it as is art though. So say like, you were chatting about like, you know, top 10 lists and that kind of thing, and like video essays. Like, I saw a video essay about Simpsons and how they predict things, and it really dove deep into like, here's how they're actually, like, they're not predicting stuff, they're just making educated guesses based on having a writing staff that, you know, is really educated in all these fields and all this. And he proper really got into it. That, I'd say, is more artistic than a guy going, can you believe that the Simpsons predicted 9/11?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then the guy saying that doesn't have to make a TikTok saying, can you believe the Simpsons predicted 9/11? But would you call that art? Because he's just gone, here's a thing that I can say that's not a particularly unique observation and not, you know what I mean?
Right,
like, I won't say that's art.
No,
So
that's
you don't
very good
have
point.
to have a conversation. A conversation can be art.
Yeah.
But then a conversation doesn't necessarily have to be art. I suppose you do have to have conversations.
I was going to say, like, I think the example for that is be like, you have to talk, but you don't have to sing. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be the one for that. But okay, so let's try and get back to like where we are currently. The first single came out last month.
Yeah.
By the time this comes out, the second single will have come out. How are you feeling about it? How are you feeling about the process? What's been difficult? What's been enjoyable?
I found the part where we were going and shooting like performances on location.
Mm-hmm.
I found that quite challenging.
Yeah,
I found that
it was
actually very challenging. More mentally, like, you know, the taking stuff to a location and the, you know, performing it and this, that, that's fine. We've always done that to some extent, you know what I mean? So I don't really care about that. It was because we've not done anything live in so long.
right.
When people would be walking past and we're not in an environment where you're anticipating seeing a live act.
Right. Yeah.
And now you're seeing a live act who hasn't performed live in years.
Yeah.
And they're doing it without any speakers, and
Yeah.
it felt very uncomfortable because I don't know. It's one of them. You want to have conviction in your art, and you want to, you know, you want to be brave about the way that you do things, but at the same time, it's like there's an inner human part of you sometimes that, and I think that you felt this with the other content that we were doing in here,
Right.
where we were, you know, announcing like, oh, we got a single coming out. It's like sometimes the being in front of a camera can feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that comfort will come back. We only started doing all this content just before the last single anyway, so
Yeah.
it's one of them. But like, I don't know. It
I
felt quite challenging, like putting myself out there again in a way that I
Right.
hadn't done in so long. You know what I mean?
That's interesting actually, because I'd never really thought about it from that perspective, because like I think shooting the performance style promotional videos and stuff was challenging in the sense that it was like a bit of a slog, like you say, like having to like take shit to location and set everything up, and fucking we would like shoot in all ourselves and stuff like that. That was difficult. But in terms of the actual, like, you know, once we hit record,
You were in your element quite well.
I quite
think.
enjoyed it, because I kind of like being somewhere and going, okay, what looks good here? Like, how
Yeah.
can we sort this out? You know what I mean? And then obviously, like, that's when I'm behind the camera, and then when I'm in
Yeah.
front of the camera, the
See,
performance
like-
just performing.
I don't mind the slog because obviously, like, you know, I've worked jobs that have not wanted to work. I've done it full time before all this, so like,
Yeah.
I've got the thing in me of like,
You just get on
spend
with it.
8 hours doing this thing that you don't like.
Yeah, it's
You know
fine.
what I mean? I'll just get to the end of it, and like, yeah, I knew that what we were creating was a means to an end, and the ends is something that I really want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sorry, you just made me chuckle
The
because you
ends.
said the ends.
Yeah.
I mean, ends.
I yearn for the ends. Whereas like, I don't know. I suppose because you've done a few like solo gigs as well and this kind of thing. Like,
right, yeah.
you've spent more time in that space of putting yourself out there like that.
Yeah,
Whereas, and remember what I used to be like at gigs?
Mm-hmm.
Confident. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well,
Needlessly confident,
but-
overconfident, unearned.
No, what I
But
would
like
say
now,
actually,
I don't know. I said to you on when we were shooting by the cathedral,
Mhm.
I said on the way back, like, I feel worried that I'm going to feel nervous when we do a gig now because I felt
Yeah.
nervous doing that. But having thought about it since, the people that are coming to a gig are expecting to see a gig, whereas the people who are riding bikes underneath a bridge aren't expecting to see a
Yeah,
music
right, yeah.
video. So
do you
know
not
what I mean?
find though that it's like more nerve-wracking when we do a gig, right? Because we haven't gigged in a while, people will come.
Yeah.
Because there's like a demand building up within like the circle of people that know about our band. So and in that circle there's a lot of people that we know and stuff. So like,
yeah.
do you not think that that's more nerve-wracking? I've always found it really.
No.
I always find it so much harder to play in front of people that I know. Like, I used to love it when we'd like drive to Sheffield and just play for like
The
20
people
strangers.
that we know care. They're there for us.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with it because it's like I'm
Yeah.
looking out and I'm seeing familiar faces. You know what I mean? And
See,
it's,
that's
and I know
crazy,
that you know there might be a little bit of secret judgment in there, but they'd never say it, so I don't give a fuck. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just on the face of things, everyone's enjoying it. Afterwards, they come over, they go, "Oh, mate, that was really good." All this, it's like a really good feeling because it feels like a night out with your mates. Except it's not just a night out with your mates because also you're a rock star. You know what I mean?
Right,
It feels
yeah.
great. I think. Whereas like when it's people who in particular aren't expecting to see you, I fucking hate that. Like, say like if we did a gig in a bar and it's
Right.
nighttime and there's other bands on
Uh-huh.
and there's people in there expecting to see bands, cool. I want that room full. And if there's loads of people in there that I know personally or that have even known me in the past and that have not spoke to in years, grand, that looks sick. Whereas if we're in a quiet little cafe in the middle of the day, ripping up a guitar solo and people are trying to drink a coffee and write a screenplay at the back of the room,
Right.
that feels like invasive. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It feels
yeah.
like I shouldn't be there. Like, remember when we'd do gigs at like a restaurant in Manchester? Remember that one in that gay restaurant?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm not having a dig, it was in the gay district, like,
Yeah.
and it's fine to be gay. No, it is. But,
It
like,
sounded so suspect. That gay restaurant. I'm not having a dig.
I'm not having a pop at you can eat gay food. It's but like, I don't know, it felt there like, oh, I'm almost not really welcome here because these people weren't expecting to see a live musical act. And we were proper into rock music at that point as well, so it was loud and it was distorted and people are trying to eat. And then say, like, if we're shooting somewhere out in public, man's trying to go for a bike ride with his mates, he's not expecting to see a music video. I don't blame him for whipping out his phone.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? But then, at the same time, I'm the guy who's whipping out his phone and filming. I just videoed him back. We can cut that video in if you want. They were wearing masks,
I think I've got it
so we
somewhere.
can.
Yeah.
But it's like when you've got like chavs as well, like riding past and stuff, and you're
Yeah.
there in a fucking suit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it felt uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. Maybe sometimes you have to be uncomfortable for your art.
Yeah. It's so
Although,
it's so weird though.
It's
like,
weird because that sounds like one of those quotes that someone would say, like a Rick Rubin, like, "Well, if
Yeah.
your art's not making you uncomfortable, is it really art?" But at the same time, why do you have to feel uncomfortable with your creation?
yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not Frankenstein out here.
Whatever that means.
Well, he didn't like his creation. Did he?
Hello.
You know what I mean?
It's so weird to me that you say that because I'm the polar opposite.
Yeah.
Like, I get more nervous playing for people that I do know because they care, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, there's a judgment there that then I have to deal with afterwards. Like,
Yeah, because they're gonna analyze what you're doing. Oh,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
was good. This was bad.
Yeah, and like you say, even if they don't say stuff, like if I feel like I had a shit gig, I'm like, oh my god, that's so embarrassing. I had a terrible gig, and everyone I know saw me be terrible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas I thrive, I think, just showing up somewhere and just going on. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I fucking did that. Did a gig at Hebe's the other week, and it was I didn't go with anyone. Abby didn't come with me. I showed up with a guitar and just played for whoever was there.
I bet that's quite liberating, though. To be fair, for a gig, I feel like it's maybe a bit different, maybe not at the same time. But like, what was the gig?
It was just
Just a cafe or something. Like
well,
a
no,
restaurant
you know, like Heebie-Jeebies
Oh, yeah,
bar. Yeah, it was just
Oh.
like I was just on. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, that's sweet. Like they say, like them Sheffield gigs, I enjoyed them. I enjoy playing in front of people that I don't know as well. It's more,
Yeah.
am I welcome here?
Right,
Am I pissing
yeah.
people off by being here?
Yeah,
Or
you're saying.
am I like making myself look like a gimp to people that don't know the breadth of what's going on? Like we're here
Right.
doing one shoot out of 5 shoots
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that we can advertise 10 songs. So I
yeah.
feel like it's worthy me being there. But lads who are just walking past, they don't know any of that. They just see lads with suits with instruments and think, gimp.
Well, you know, you know what's difficult I find as well, and we'll end on this because we're getting on a bit.
Oh.
But
45 minutes?
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
my God.
it goes by, doesn't it?
It does go by.
Um,
We can do another one if you want.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
So I think maybe this is just me, right? I have like an age thing, like a clock in my head of it's fine to do things when you're younger that it's not as fine to do when you're older, and that's kind of bullshit, right? And I'm trying to
Well,
work.
skinny jeans when you're 40.
No, all right, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, but like skinny jeans now on anyone is like questionable. But
Wait.
that's a whole other comment. These aren't skinny jeans.
Oh,
these,
yeah, they're normal jeans.
These are like slim.
I think that rule's bullshit. I think that's going to change
That's
in
not-
like 10 years.
This is the whole other fucking pod, right?
Yeah.
So anyway,
We'll get into that on the next
Yeah,
one. The
we'll
next
talk-
one's going to be about fashion.
we'll talk about image on the next one. So what was I going to say? Oh, so when we were younger, right? When we were like 20, I felt more okay like around family being like, oh yeah, we're just us and our mates are just gonna go to this like fucking random place and film this music video to do this thing. Whereas like now, like wandering around in a fucking suit at like 25 and being like, oh, I'm just going to go film under this random bridge.
It makes you feel like you've got to wrap up the sentence in a weird way, doesn't it? It's like at like 16 years old, you can be like, yeah, we're going to go and shoot this video. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, do it. That's fun, isn't it? You and your little mates. It's very creative. Whereas when you're 25, you have to turn around and be like, we're filming promotional content today.
Yeah.
We're not going and shooting a fun little video. We're producing advertising materials. You've got to like make it sound like it's this dead professional, dead business minded thing, and it does become that when you get older as well. Like the fun side of it starts getting sidetracked by the business side. But again, it's because if you act like you're having too much fun, it's like, hey, I swear you should be working.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's, I think that ties into the starving artistness of it because like it's still as valid as it was back then. You know what I mean?
I mean, we want it to be our job.
Exactly.
We want this to be the work. That's why we're treating it like
exactly.
work.
Like
it just doesn't fucking pay on.
We're putting more effort in and taking it more seriously than we ever have done. You know what I mean? If anything, it's far more credible now than it was back then because like we're trying.
Definitely got a better chance of it. Like we've got a schedule that we're making content.
Back then it was like, oh, we're gonna go to this field to film this music video that we'll just put on YouTube, I guess, or whatever.
And we're like, going to this field because we know where it is.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And like 200 people might watch it. You know what I mean? Whereas now it's like, obviously the scale's only gotten a little bit bigger. Like it's sort of the next level up or whatever. But the sort of planning and coordination that goes into it has got more depth, so you would think that it's more...
Yeah, and the investment that goes into it, we have to buy stuff to make it the quality that we want now, and you know what I mean? Like...
In summation, it fucking sucks.
Yeah. Don't become an artist. Get a real job.
No, I actually,
advice from one artist to another, don't.
No, like you know what, and I'm excited to maybe get back to a bit more of this in future. And this is what excited me about the prospect of releasing all these songs, is that like I loved that period in time when we would just make things and go, oh, this song's really exciting, isn't it? This song sounds like this. Let's go film that thing that it sounds like. Oh, let's put them together. Let's put it out, you know what I mean? And like nobody gave a shit.
Yeah. Apart from us, but we gave such a shit.
Yeah. But that was fine, you know what I mean? Yeah. And like I think if this sort of whole doing a song a month thing doesn't work, then it will just become that, you know what I mean? Yeah. Again, we'll just do what we want to do when we want to do it. And
well, because we'll probably be too busy.
Yeah.
When these songs stop coming out, I'll have finished my degree.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But even there, but I just mean like there's an excitement to it that I think will get back.
Yeah.
Because like everything's very structured right now.
What time?
And it's difficult, man.
Oh, fuck it. Let's say that they're an hour.
We're we'll draw to a close.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is, weirdly, I used to find it a lot more exciting putting out songs than I found it putting these ones out.
Yeah.
But I think that, and these songs are more exciting for people to hear them than the other ones because I think that they're better, and I think that there's more potential in what we're doing. But because we'd put one out every few months and it'd be as soon as we've finished it, as soon as it can get in front of people, it's in front of people. It'd be this like, it's done, oh yeah, let's see how it does, and it'd feel like this. And because we'd only done it a couple of times, it felt like this new thing with all this optimism attached to it and all this. Whereas now it's like, part of me feels like sort of it's a routine. Because it is, because they're coming out on the same date every month, but it's at a point where, because I know that we've got so many things coming out and I know what dates they're coming out, I half don't even know which one's going to be next after the one that we're on.
Where do you stand on this, right? And maybe it's slightly different for you because like the inception of the idea usually comes from something that I've made.
Yeah.
But like my thinking with some of the songs coming up is like, I like these songs, but I've almost like artistically grown past them because some of them are really old.
Yeah.
So it's like this
song heard
is
them
good.
all so many times that it feels like, say one came out on Spotify. When we first wrote that, I couldn't wait to listen to it on Spotify.
Yeah.
Now I've listened to it so many times that I know what it sounds like
Yeah.
in and out. So I
Yeah.
don't really feel like I need to listen to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and there's an argument to be made there that like and maybe this isn't true, but like you could say that the frequency with which we release stuff at the minute sort of devalues some of it to an extent because you're not letting things have their moment as much, which would maybe matter if like we had like a big fan base or people. Really
If we had millions
of
of followers, I'd say put out one song and then we'll do the album in a month's time or something. You know what I mean? But because we're having to churn that following up month by month, we've got to do it every month. And to be fair, I think that's working. We're getting slightly more interaction each time. So 10 months down the line, we're 10 times better than we were. You know what I mean?
I don't know if I told you this, but Jack and I did a podcast
Traitor.
time ago. That was, if anything, this is the
cheating on me.
This is the cheating. This is the podcast affair. I already have a podcast. Anyway, so me and Jack did a podcast where we were talking about like, are albums still relevant? And Jack was like, I think artists should just like make an album, but then release a song a month for a year, and then that's your 12 songs that make an album.
Well,
and
we'll tell you how it goes.
No, but I think I said that's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And I think if you're like The Weeknd or someone, it is stupid. Just put the album out because the point is that the album. But if you're using the music as a means to like build a following and get yourself out there and try to saturate something or like trying to place yourself in the industry, then this kind of works. Or in theory, it's an interesting idea. We don't know if it works or not. But like I saw Jack the other day and he was like, yeah, you bastards, you slated me at the time for that one song a month idea.
You just needed to see the idea off me, lad. Idea.
It was my idea.
I don't know about that.
It was the song a month was my idea.
You wanted to do it every 6 weeks, I think.
All right. Okay. Oh well, pardon me.
Yeah. To be fair, at first I thought we were doing an album, but then pretty quickly I was like, oh yeah, I can see the potential in that.
Yeah. Right. Well, anyway, we'll close this pod off here. You can follow us on shit. I'll put all of the links in the YouTube description, or if you're listening on Spotify, it'll be in that description as well. If you are listening on Spotify, go listen on YouTube though, because you can see our faces and it's just cooler.
Yeah, unless we can put the video on Spotify.
We might be able to do that.
In which case, don't worry about that. Instead, go and listen to Strangers on Spotify.
Yeah.
Stay hungry.
Stay hungry. In a bit.